Temps in the 50s this sunny Saturday. Should be a good day to gather around for lacrosse-loving Maryland. Today, the Loyola Greyhounds have made the 40-mile trek from Baltimore to College Park, taking Patriot League pride with them into a top 10 showdown with the Terps for college lacrosse on the Big Ten Network. It is great to see you again. Along with Mark Dixon, I'm Joe Binney. The excitement surrounding the 2022 college lacrosse season is sky high. What should the expectations be for these two schools?
How great is it to be back with college lacrosse on the Big Ten Network? Maryland, Big Ten champions last year, fell by a goal in the national championship game. This is a Maryland team loaded and looking to go back to championship weekend. Loyola, meanwhile, they were one play away from knocking off Duke in the quarterfinals and going to championship weekend. An experienced lineup. They know they're capable of doing something special.
When Maryland has the ball offensively, they have a tremendous amount of weapons. None more prominent than Logan Wisnauskas.
Wearing the fabled jersey number 1, it's his turn next up. He's developed throughout his career as a Maryland Terrapin from a shooter into the conductor of the offense.
The Greyhounds of Loyola, they have a massively talented attack trio themselves, including the Patriot League scoring champ from a season ago, Kevin Lindley.
Two-bar syndrome with the helmet, but don't let the look fool you. Lindley is a lethal goal scorer. He, too, like Wisnauskas, has developed his game and will carry the ball a little bit more for the Loyola Greyhounds.
Those two guys will definitely threaten the netminders today, and we have a pair of left-handed stoppers in goal. Loyola goes with Sam Schaefer, huge in the NCAA tournament last season. When he's on, he can be tough to figure out.
And when he's on, Loyola is on. The save of the year in 2021 in that playoff win against Denver.
The Terps will go with Logan McNaney. He's a spark plug for that team, a guy who burst on the scene last season and just kept getting better and better.
It's not very often that Maryland gives the keys to the defense to a freshman, but that's exactly what John Tillman did with Logan McNaney. He is the leader of a stout Terrapin backline.
This promises to be an outstanding matchup both on the field and on the sidelines. Two terrific head coaches. Charlie Toomey runs the shop for Loyola.
Won a national title in 2012, and John Tillman on the other side hoisted the trophy with Maryland in 2017. Two of the most respected coaches in the sport.
Maryland got its season off to a flying start. On this field 1 weekend ago, they blasted High Point. It's the season opener for Loyola, and Charlie Toomey said Maryland will be whistle ready. It's hard to replicate live speed.
I think we saw that last night when Johns Hopkins was able to beat Towson. It was Hopkins' second game of the season, Towson's first. You saw the adjustments that Hopkins was able to make. You saw that they were prepared with that game speed experience from their win over Jacksonville. We'll see if Maryland can carry that momentum from week 1 into today.
The officials today, Peter Buchanan's the ref, Dan Bennett, Brennan Lehane will be joining him in the zebra stripes. All-time meeting number 24 between these two squads. Loyola has only come to College Park, Mark, 2 times since 1958.
Unbelievable when you figure that only 40 miles separates the campus.
Loyola picked up a national championship win against the Terrapins. We're off and running. Bailey Savio controlling the opening draw with Loyola in the green. And at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that attack trio, Lindley, Olmstead, and James, prolific at the offensive end.
Really a great group. Again, Loyola, we haven't talked about this yet, but they were 5-5 in mid-April of last year. Caught fire, almost made championship weekend. This is a great opening test for Maryland.
Poitras kicks it back behind the cage. That's Evan James. 6-on-6 as we get started. Seth Higgins driving in against his brother. Seth against Jake. A matchup we'll watch throughout the day. Shot clock in college lacrosse down to 34 seconds. Poitras operating on the perimeter, picked up by Puglisi. First offensive touch for the Greyhounds, a pass to the interior. They like to stuff it inside. There's a whistle, crease violation against Loyola, and the ball goes over to the Terrapins. At the bottom of the screen, you'll be seeing how Maryland gets things started, the number 2 ranked team in the land.
Yeah, this is a Maryland team. Keegan Khan, the transfer from Villanova, joining Wisnauskas, and Malever, a new starter. Jonathan Donville, another transfer, joining the holdovers, Anthony DeMaio and Kyle Long. How about that first midfield unit? Makar is the headliner on the defense for this Maryland squad.
Donville, the transfer from Cornell, kicks it back behind the cage. Malever will hook up with Keegan Khan. All Khan did in his first game as a Terp was go 4+6. And there's Donville inside to start the scoring.
Loyola struggled in their scrimmages against Richmond and Syracuse, and one of the biggest struggles was their interior defense. And here we're just going to see Maryland in a circle, nothing fancy. They spread the Loyola defense out. Donville with a flash cut. Wisnauskas feeds him. That is way too easy if you were the Loyola defense.
Maryland put up 21 goals last week. Donville had a pair of those. Didn't play last season, the Ivy League canceling the spring season due to COVID. Luke Weirman gets possession of the draw for Maryland off the procedure. Bubba Fairman's playing defensive midfield these days, number 2 in the whites. As they scramble for it, LeBlanc keeping it down on the deck, and it comes up for the Terps.
The game started as we got a quick timeout by Maryland. I think he thought that Wisnauskas was in trouble in the corner, so that is a possession-saving timeout for John Tillman.
We referenced this a bit at the top of the show, Mark. Loyola hasn't had very much success at Maryland's expense.
Yeah, and
but one major win.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one that you can circle if you are a Loyola Greyhound fan. That epic team in 2012. Toomey and Tillman, these are guys that know each other incredibly well, and it's great to see this series being picked back up. It's a 4-year contract, so for the next 4 years, these teams will play one another. The opportunity was presented when Loyola and Virginia did not renew their rivalry, so we get the benefit as lacrosse fans. Maryland stepping into the Cavalier position.
We love bringing you lacrosse on Big Ten Network. This is a top 10 showdown, and you see in the Big Ten preseason poll, John Tillman's squad resting in that number 1 spot.
They're the Kings until anybody can knock them off. You see Rutgers at 2, they're 2-0. An outstanding transfer they have in Mitch Bartolo from University of Pennsylvania. Johns Hopkins is 2-0, knocked off Towson last night. Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, all winners in their season openers as well.
Maryland unbeaten in Big Ten Conference play last season, 10-0. They rolled through the regular season. They were the Big Ten tourney champs. They knocked off Johns Hopkins in the championship game of that tournament, 12-10. As we resume action, Donville has given the Terps the early lead. Off the sweep from the top comes Kyle Long. DeMaio picked up on the perimeter. This is Malever being checked tightly by Matt Hughes.
McNulty broke his stick. It's 6-on-5 right now. Maryland has an extra attacker.
The All-American long stick midfielder is helpless. Malever fires, he scores!
I thought Loyola was going to be able to get out of this one being a man down. The man is running in from the box, but it's just cycling the ball from Maryland. And if you're Schaefer, you're just not seeing the ball. Look at the big lefty. He doesn't even get his stick up. He just tries to raise that right elbow, right shoulder. So Malever, beautiful shot, 2-0. Loyola, having that first possession, having the ball, that was a great start for them. But Maryland, this offense, so potent, and they've got 2 quick ones.
Malever and Donville 48 seconds apart, getting the better of Schaefer and giving homestanding Maryland a 2-0 lead. Joe Beninati and Mark Dixon with you from Maryland Stadium in College Park. Puglisi will bring it across for the Terps, who've had the lion's share of the possession in the first 2.5 minutes of this game. Malever, who said he learned so much studying Jared Bernhardt.
And he's the heir apparent to the next big thing here in College Park. He got minutes, significant minutes, as the season went on last year. No easy task when you look at the experience that this Maryland team had in 2021 and what they return in 22.
Brennan's bouncer goes wide. Second midfield on field now for Maryland, featuring Koras, Brennan, and Murphy. Murphy, the former Blue Jay of Johns Hopkins. Brennan gets the alley and fires. Schaefer shuffled over nicely to make that stop.
Beautiful stop. He read it, moved his body, didn't just try to use an appendage. You know Joe is an old goalie. You're trying to stop a shot with your elbow or shoulder. That's no bueno.
Head coach Charlie Toomey for Loyola, he says, I like big goalies. Schaefer fits that bill.
They won the national title in 2012 with Jack Runkle. Runkle's was a little bigger than Schaefer, and that's saying something. But yeah, the big lefties, and when we talked to John Tillman this week, he made that joke. He laughed about it, but he knows he's facing a big-time goaltender.
Riley Seay working against Jake Higgins. He'll invert. Seay, the senior from South Carolina, off the split dodge, trying to turn the corner. Seay will bring it back. Hatchet job turned in there by Rahill on the perimeter. Lindley is next. Inside roll. Lindley from down under. McNaney was ready.
Nice save by McNaney. Plays great position, uses his body well. Lindley, nice inside roll right there. Good slide from Maryland, made the shot tougher for Lindley.
Puglisi, sharp angle. That's deflected down and away as Schaefer had the angle. Taken off the carpet and running back ahead. This is Mustang Sally, and I'm not kidding.
Joe, that's Joe's preseason favorite name so far.
Mustang Sally, who transfers in from Richmond. A 2-0 Maryland advantage in the early going. Donville and Malever have struck. Season opener for the guys in green. About a 40-mile drive away from College Park, where their campus is in Baltimore. Olmstead, flashy attackman, stuffed by McNaney, who had the post. Logan McNaney, who made 8 stops a week ago in the win over High Point. Maryland tuning up High Point with 21 goals that day, and they had a chance to go farther than that. Offensive coordinator Bobby Benson said they were a little bit off at the outset of that game.
Scary to think that you hang 21 on a quality team like High Point and your offense was off, but we're kind of used to Coach Benson sandbagging us a little bit, aren't we?
Loyola happy to see Cam Wires, 5 in the green out there, their most physical, close defender. Fairman on the invert. Fairman looking cross. Donville fires. That rings the iron. He hit the crossbar. Diving effort on the sideline from Fairman. They will keep it. Maryland ball. Closest to the ball after a shot when it leaves the playing surface gets possession.
Yeah, when and where it goes out. And fans will notice on the reset for the shot clock, it goes to 60 seconds in 2022. It doesn't reset to 80.
Ball down. Scott Middleton on his way down to the turf as the whistles blare out. This is a push against Maryland. It'll give Loyola the ball.
So Loyola's got to feel pretty good as we see the foul right here. The push from behind, a little domino effect on the replay. But Loyola's got to feel pretty good. Their last 2 defensive stands, Schaefer's made a save, and Maryland got some quality shots, but they're on the gloves, and they're reacting much better. Cam Wires, his addition to this defense, he missed much of the preseason, is welcome.
Poitras on the go, and he snapped that one wide. Pretty good strength against strength, Mark, when Loyola is clearing the ball. They were the best team in the nation. Successful clears last season. Maryland, the toughest to clear against in the Big Ten.
And that was something that Loyola has struggled with in the preseason. Their clearing game, it looks good so far here today, but you cannot give Maryland second chance possessions.
Almost halfway home in the opening quarter. Evan James off the roll dodge. Help comes. Makar was there to double. Poitras against Jake Higgins. This drive from Olmstead was weakened on the way. That's an easy grab for Logan McNaney.
You got to love the activity of this Maryland defense. They're sliding. Loyola's forced a couple of slides. Maryland doesn't like the slide as a defensive unit, but Loyola's such a good passing team that Maryland has to go. But they're doing a good job of getting their stick in the shooting lanes, and really McNaney, other than the Lindley offering, was also hampered by some good defense. They haven't really gotten a quality whizzer on 𝐭𝐤 just yet.
Keegan Khan on the go for Maryland. Wisnauskas wearing number 1 this season. Gets a step on Wires. Fires. He scores! Logan Wisnauskas.
On this play, Wisnauskas, who's a natural lefty, uses his right hand. And you're going to see Wires. It looks like He trips over the goal, but it looked like he just couldn't recover on that right knee. Had to push off of that right knee and just couldn't get much spring to it. But credit Wisnauskas, nice little head fake, gets top side, sticks it past Schaefer.
Eric Pacheco spelling Bailey Savio for this face-off. Luke Weirman, the starter for Maryland, was given a shove there, and it comes up on the ground ball for Scott Middleton.
That's a huge win for Loyola because throughout his career, Bailey Savio has been a one-man show. They haven't had a ton of depth at the face-off dot. Pacheco gives that to the Hounds.
Offensive possession. Olmstead, who we were told would be subbing out of the box quite regularly, attacking from the top. Seth Higgins against Bubba Fairman. As we have 6:45 to go in the opening frame. 3 unanswered for Maryland. 3 different goal scorers. Good takeaway off the ground ball. Fairman comes up with it. Gets double teamed. 𝐭𝐫𝐤 there to put a hat on someone. And it's 𝐂𝐨. She comes up with the ground ball. He's stick checked. Now unsettled. Maryland goes looking for numbers. Malever lets it fly. Schaefer made the save at his knees. He's good in transition. He snaps that one right on the money. McNulty looking to push it. Evan James with no transitional numbers. They'll settle in. 6-on-6 with just over 6 minutes to go in the opening quarter.
February 12th. And these two teams going nose to nose, not giving up an inch. Physical lacrosse. And wow, great to be back.
A 50-degree day in the Mid-Atlantic region here in College Park, Maryland. Sun is shining. Lacrosse lovers are loving this one as Seay gets the alley, working against 𝐭𝐫𝐤. Outstanding short stick D midfielder for Maryland. Olmstead getting to the interior. He'll kick it. Lindley has room. Fires. He scores. Kevin Lindley.
The 5th shot of the game for Loyola is by far their most quality. We mentioned the Greyhounds getting the Maryland defense to slide, and on a rotation, we're going to see Olmstead push the goal line extended, flips it to Lindley. Bad approach by 𝐭𝐫𝐤. Lindley finds the back of the cage.
Lacrosse on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by State Farm. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Inside of Maryland Stadium in College Park today on Big Ten Network. Joe Beninati and Mark Dixon with you as we watch Loyola match up with Maryland. A couple of teams in the top 10 of the land. An early season intrastate battle being led by the Terps. If you're just jumping on board with us, 3-1 Maryland in the white jerseys. Goals from Donville, Malever, and Wisnauskas. Lindley just struck for Loyola as we were headed to commercial break.
And we're seeing the value of Jake Higgins, number 57 for Maryland. He's been great on the one-on-one defense, and then he just picked up a key ground ball off of the wing when Savio had won it for Loyola. He's a key piece that they were missing down the stretch last season with the knee injury. You can see that big knee sleeve brace on his right leg.
Top of the screen, you can tell Joe and Mark, your announce team, in meeting number 24 all-time between these two. Loyola out of the Patriot League. Maryland repping the Big Ten today. DeMaio inverted, the midfielder going below goal line extended. Gets to the top and fires wide of the netminder Sam Schaefer. The backup belongs to Maryland's Keegan Khan. Khan gets downhill quickly. There was a moving pick, however, and it'll give the ball to Loyola.
Again, that leg for Wires looks a little shaky. Credit Cam Wires. He's the difference maker in this Loyola defense, but his unsteadiness actually pushed the pick into his teammate, creating that moving screen situation.
Head coach Charlie Toomey said of Cam Wires that they were managing his minutes in the preseason scrimmages. They didn't know how much he was going to be able to give, but it's his toughness that this team rallies around. The Greyhounds in green.
Terrific lefty, preseason All-American according to several media outlets, including Inside Lacrosse, in that third-team range.
Poitras working against Fairman, gets inside. He scores. Adam Poitras.
caught me by surprise there. Loyola's had trouble winning matchups so far in this game, but we're going to see Poitras just very patient. He's a lefty, so you know you want to get above goal line extended with that left hand. Does a nice job on the little cat and mouse. Bubba Fairman got out of position, and then Poitras just uses his momentum to go around, get past Fairman, and slip it past McNaney.
Adam Poitras, who hails from Whitby, Ontario, Canada. How many great players has Brody Merrill produced out of the Hill Academy to into the United States college ranks?
A lot. And they've had such a great impact on the game. And Brody Merrill still playing, by the way.
Loyola's goal comes at the 3:51
Doesn't surprise me with his kind of ability.
The goal was scored by number 51.
Former
Adam
Georgetown great.
𝐻𝐿𝐴.
But you could see that Canadian kind of thing, one hand right there. Bubba Fairman, terrific short stick D midi, but he's converted from the offensive end of the field. So there is an adjustment, especially when you get down to that goal line extended.
It's a pair of 8s on the perimeter. James against 𝐵𝐸. Poitras has it, picked up by Higgins. Jake Higgins on the defensive end for Maryland. Seth at the offensive end for Loyola. Evan James. Shot clock at 35. Loyola in no hurry.
Seth Higgins several times last season, Patriot League Freshman of the Week. He's a terrific feeder. Great vision.
Dylan Binney is 57 in the green. Olmstead from the top. Lost his footing there just as 𝐻𝐿𝐴 Zapatello was in the vicinity, and now the Terps look to run. 𝐵𝐸 has the fast break. 5-on-4. Kick it. That pass just gets away from Malever, and it is a turnover back to Loyola.
Wow. I tell you, there's a lot of excitement. Loyola, like we've mentioned, don't want to beat this thing to death, but they struggled in the preseason. Tough outing against Richmond. Tough outing last weekend against Syracuse. So they're 3-2 right now with this Maryland team. Feeling good. The emotions are running high.
They took the early punch and they've battled back. Maryland jumped out to a 3-0 advantage. We have a little bit more than 2 minutes to go in this opening frame. You hear McNaney coordinating with Higgins, and this one is sent wide there. A heavy hit was delivered. Ball goes to the Terps with a flag down.
That's going to be behind the play. We're going to have an unnecessary roughness call against Maryland. By the position of that helmet of the guy walking off the field, I have to imagine. There it is right there. Just unnecessary. A clothesline. That's why there are 3 referees.
Jake Higgins will take a knee. Loyola goes extra man. Maryland's man down defense.
Maryland penalty
Was 2
against
for
number
4 against
57,
High Point last
Higgins.
weekend.
1 minute for unnecessary roughness.
Lindley up top
Time of
with
the penalty,
Olmstead.
2:03.
We drift below 2 minutes to go in the first. Quick pass to the interior. McNaney with a sharp-looking stop there on Evan James. Man down, Terps trying to clear it. Bubba Fairman kicks it along. Fairman in a duel there with Matt Hughes. It's Fairman who comes up with the ground ball.
What a great ground ball. That was just technical, fundamental ground ball. Guys on your back, make yourself bigger, wide base, bend down, pick it up. No one-handed action. Really committed to the fundamentals. Bubba Fairman, terrific ground ball. How about McNaney with that save? Small goalie. And just made himself bigger. Just stood straight up. Love his fundamentals, love his technique.
He's made 3 really good stops from point-blank range, one-on-one. Koras against Mustang Sally on the sweep. Koras shoved wide off the shooting angle by McNulty. Shot clock growing late. We're under 50 in the quarter. Malever playing a 2-man game. Malever rolls back. Kicks it to Koras. The feed over the top. Wisnauskas straight away had 8 points last week. Koras jump shot. He scores! Jack Koras.
Big goal for Maryland. And this is just great ball movement. And Jack Koras is a tremendous cutter with the off ball. A midfielder in high school, played a little bit of attack, back to his natural midfield position. His cuts and the timing of his cuts are exceptional. Wisnauskas rewards him, finds him, and a nice bounce shot to the far post.
One of many Maryland natives on this Maryland Terrapin squad, a 5-star recruit out of Loyola Blakefield. Koras gets himself on the board. 4 different players have struck for the Terps. They're doubling up Loyola late in the opening period. Delay in the resumption of play at the timekeeper's table. A need to get the shot clock adjusted. Officials today, Buchanan, Bennett, and Lehane getting that coordinated, as John Tillman would like for a word. John Tillman and Charlie Toomey both in the picture now.
And this is a key. Peter Buchanan, the crew chief today, it's communication as a lacrosse official. You just want to keep the coaches involved, engaged, informed. The best referees will tell you whenever a coach has a question, whenever a coach has a question, answer it whenever you have an opportunity to. Don't ignore coaches. Don't disengage with them.
This Maryland bunch that has won 11 straight home games in College Park has a 4-2 lead. Wierman getting the draw against Pacheco as he was rattled by Jake Higgins. One last touch for the Terps in the opening quarter. Jake Higgins thought about it. Long stick midfielder John Geppert is there trying to get to the interior. He was stick checked by LeBlanc. Jake Higgins comes up with it. Wisnauskas time wasting. 5 seconds to go. This one clicks to Schaefer. The big netminder will hold on, and we'll hang out at the end of one quarter today in College Park.
At the end of the first quarter,
The Maryland Terrapins trying to make it 2 for 2 in this 2022 season. Plenty of hugs and high fives for that bunch. Folks, once we're done with lacrosse today, coming up next, Big Ten Wrestling presented by Cliff Keen Athletic. The Terps will step onto the mat for a clash with the 16th-ranked Rutgers. That's coming up next on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Rutgers has won the last 6 matches straight up against Maryland. As we get to our state of success this afternoon, Dixie, it's brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Just how good has Maryland been throughout their lacrosse history?
Their mantra is be the best, and the Maryland Terrapins, wow. You want to talk about sustained success. The last national championship in 2017, 27 Final Fours, including last year where they fell by a goal to the University of Virginia. Just an incredible program. And you look at the coaches and the players that have cycled through this thing, it just keeps getting better and better, not only from a recruiting standpoint, but the transfer portal as well.
That's Mark Dixon. I'm Joe Beninati. Lacrosse on Big Ten Network today. Once we get you to wrestling, it'll be Shane Sparks and Jim Gibbons on the call as Maryland gets control of the opening face-off of the second quarter, leading Loyola by 2. Last man on the board, second string midfielder Jack Koras. Maryland 1-0. They downed High Point as McNaney brings it across the midline. Maryland beating High Point here a week ago, 21-13. Wisnauskas 5 goals, 3 assists. Keegan Khan had 4 and 2 in that victory. This is the lid lifter for Loyola. Its first game in 2024. Hard-working shorty there, Razanka, 34 in the green as Khan turns it. Bring it on around for DeMaio. DeMaio leaning in against Venice. No shooting lane. 30 seconds on the shot clock for Malever. On the interchange, this one snapped wide. DeMaio never afraid to call his own shot.
DeMaio so impressive over the years, as with Kyle Long. This Maryland team, so many weapons. And Malever, the newest addition to the starting lineup, but he's fit in super nicely.
DeMaio dancing with it, moves it quickly to Khan. Khan has his defender hung up. Khan looking over top of the cage. Now Wires shoulders him on the inside roll. Wires played that well, but this time it's going to be a loose ball hold.
Oh, wow. There you see Wires meets him. Donville There you see that little action at the end. So that is another 60 seconds for Maryland to operate, as that was short time in the shot clock. Break for the Terps.
Early on in the second quarter today at Maryland Stadium, a sun-splashed day, temperatures in the mid-50s, very pleasant. DeMaio on the hitch, gets inside, draws the double. Kahn will switch it. Donville makes one more. Wisnauskas feeds. Donville room. He pings the corner. A second on the day for Jonathan Donville.
His accuracy and power, two of his goals both have been in the upper 90.
Mentioned that he came in from Cornell. He shot 46% in the 2020 season. Wierman going right to the goal. Luke Weirman scores.
Everything going the Terrapin way right now. After that fourth goal, they seem to be galvanized after dodging a few Greyhound bullets. Nothing fancy about this. Just plays it out the front door. Wierman cruises right down Route 1 and is able to skip it past Schaefer. And look at the Maryland bench. They're excited.
This Maryland team that went to the national championship game a season ago lost a thriller to Virginia. Luke Weirman won 14 faceoffs in that national title game. He took the starting job from Justin Shockey last year as Maryland gets the ball again.
When you think about that extra man save from McNaney, the one-on-one, when the score was 3-2, Loyola could have gotten it level, but instead they're held at bay. Koras scores that fourth goal, and now Loyola's really got to hunker down as this Terrapin team is getting into a flow.
Malever back behind the cage. He has his defender Matt Hughes hung up. Malever on the inside roll. Hughes is sturdy right there. Donville and Wierman, two tallies 6 seconds apart. Largest lead on the day for Maryland. Wisnauskas bullies his way inside as Wires forces him back. Closing in, Brennan on the move. He scores. Jack Brennan. All systems go for Maryland right now.
Loyola coaching staff wanted a ward-off on Wisnauskas. They don't get it, but this is just too easy. Brennan, you're going to give him the left. He'll cruise. No one really gets a touch on number 41 as he just goes right down the heart of the Loyola defense and sticks it.
Terrapins with Brennan on the board, 3 goals in 60 seconds as we're shy of the 3-minute mark in what's been a productive second quarter already for the guys in the white jerseys. Bailey Savio, a much-needed face-off win for Loyola.
Yeah, big face-off win for Savio. Just got to settle down here if you're Loyola. Chip away. I mean, this is a Maryland team that in the past they'd get that couple goal lead, then they would just kind of take the foot off the gas. Not the case in this 21-22 version of the Terrapins. They're going to keep coming at you, so Loyola's just going to have to look for good looks. They're going to have to try to win matchups. This man right here, Adam Poitras, was able to do so on his last touch.
Now against Bubba Fairman, he'll go inverted. Maryland had a 4-2 lead at the quarter break. They've won their last 14 when leading after the opening frame. They built the lead now to 7-2. Seth Higgins on the go, kick it back behind the net. James picked up by Geppert. Another deliberate touch for 𝐭𝐸𝐻 and the Greyhounds. 𝐭𝐸𝐻 from the outside, works in against Zappatello. Throws back for Poitras. Lindley with room. To the interior, they change the point of attack neatly. The whistle comes with a timeout called by Charlie Toomey of Loyola.
15 seconds left on the shot clock for Loyola. The clock will not reset on the timeout. It'll stay at 15 seconds. But they know to have the ball is to have an opportunity to score, and that's the timeout by Charlie Toomey. There we see Matt Dwan talking to the defense.
Dixie later tonight, top 10 showdown on the ice. It'll continue. The Gophers and the Buckeyes facing off in Columbus. That's Value City Arena, the venue. Puck drops tonight, 6 Eastern on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. The Gophers playing without Ben Myers and Brock Faber and Matthew Nyes, all of them are with the United States men's Olympic team in Beijing.
All right. Bring home the gold.
Ohio State's been playing extremely well. Entering the weekend, they were the top team in the Big Ten.
I was going to ask you, like, how much other hockey do you get to watch?
Never enough, my friend. Never enough as we look at the top 10 teams in the land, with Maryland featured prominently right behind the team that bested them for the national title last year.
Yeah, Virginia has come back loaded in 2022, beat Air Force a week ago. There you see the Maryland Terrapins snuggled in there at number 2. Duke off to a 3-0 start. North Carolina won their season opener last night against a very tough Richmond team. Georgetown will play host to Johns Hopkins tomorrow. But then you look at Rutgers down there at the number 10 position, a Scarlet Knight team that got a taste of the NCAA tournament last year. It's going to be interesting to see if the Scarlet Knights can take that next step.
Mark, at the top of the screen, our viewers can see Maryland is sharing the wealth offensively. There were 9 different goal scorers last week in the win over High Point. Poitras, who has one today for Loyola, gets inside on 𝐞𝐤 and he scores. Poitras does it again.
Charlie Toomey told us this week that there are days where practices get finished and him and Mark Van Arsdale look at each other and they say, Poitras may be our best offensive player. He is certainly making it happen today. His second goal line extended dodge. He's a lefty. I like how he turned upfield. 𝐞𝐤 had to respect that, take the step up, and then once he saw 𝐞𝐤 take that step, whoop, right underneath, cuts it, and sticks it past McNaney.
Season opener for Loyola against the number 2 ranked team in the land. And the Greyhounds have to feel like a little bit they are a Big Ten team. Look at what they're doing with their non-conference schedule right off the jump.
Open today versus Maryland. Next week they're at Johns Hopkins, and then the following week they host Rutgers. So honorary membership for Loyola into the Big Ten Lacrosse Conference, but it's always been a hallmark of the Charlie Toomey program. Play the best, because come tournament time, conference play, etc., you want to be battle tested and you want to have played against prime competition.
Duke is also included on that non-conference schedule, the toughest that any team plays in Division I. Kahn turns, he scores. Too easy there for Keegan Kahn.
We can see right now that Loyola, their slides just seem to be a little confusing. There's a little bit of a pick action right there. Wires gets picked off, and then he's going to turn to his short stick DeMaio and voice a little bit of frustration. So that's all about communication. You know, hey, here, pick on your right, Joe. You got it, or I'm going. You know, you got to have that communication through the pick game, and right now it just seems like Loyola's struggling, and Maryland taking full advantage.
Kahn, the graduate transfer from Villanova, led the Wildcats in points last year. Savio and Wierman back at the X, with Maryland on top 8-3. This is a Loyola team, Dixie, that was top 10 in the nation goals against average last year. Maryland is chewing them up right now.
This Maryland team under second year offensive coordinator Bobby Benson. That's another thing to take into consideration. Benson didn't join the Maryland staff until January of 2021, and really, you know, what, a month before their season opener. This year he's had a whole year to work with these guys, get to know them better, and it's really paying dividends.
The same Bobby Benson who would have been Loyola's offensive coordinator in 2006. He knows that staff extremely well. There are a lot of bonds and friendships there between those guys. Jack Brennan on the go. Trying to get underneath on Mustang Sally on the sweep. Kahn moves it. Wisnauskas with a BB from the outside.
Right now, Maryland is just putting on a clinic in ball movement. Just keeping it hot, making the one more, not relying on the one-on-one. Brennan skips it behind, and then Keegan Kahn, the one more. He knows he's got big number 1. And look at the stick positioning. Using the defender as a screen in the form of Cam Wires. So not only do you have the high heat, 85 miles an hour plus of Logan Wisnauskas, but then you got to see it through your defender's body. Good luck.
It's amazing, Mark, to watch the best goal scorers in this game and the angles at which they choose to take their shots. You'll see Kevin Lindley from Loyola shoot a ball between defenders' legs to create screens on goalies. They are so talented, the best at this level.
No question. And when you think about the stick technology and the training that these student athletes undergo right now in terms of strength training and shooting and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I know I played a long time ago, but we just didn't have that kind of individual attention to the nuances of the game. And these days, kids take full advantage of it and are playing nonstop.
Just past the 6-minute mark of the second quarter, Maryland on top by 6 and in possession on home turf here in College Park, tangling with the Loyola Greyhounds. Greyhounds a season ago, 10-6. They beat Army in the Patriot League semis, and they withdrew from the final out of fear for a possible COVID outbreak. They got the at-large bid, though, to the NCAA tournament and made some waves. Wisnauskas working in against McGillicuddy. He feeds it there on the roll. DeMaio snuffed out by Schaefer. He took that one right in the face mask.
Big save for Schaefer. He really hasn't stood a chance against this offensive barrage for Maryland.
LeBlanc brings it ahead from one pole to the other. That was a tough catch for Middleton, but it's kept alive by Evan James. The Greyhounds can settle in for just a little moment. Then Maycar, as he is often wont to do, puts a lot of pressure on. A timeout was called by Loyola. Maycar disagrees as the officials huddle up.
The officials, you have to be in the box when you call the timeout. And it is up to the referee right in front of the bench, and they're going to give the timeout because basically, I've officiated games here before, Joe, in Maryland. It's a bowl. It sits down low. It's really hard to hear, even if you're bench side. So when that timeout was called, Peter Buchanan, he's the one that granted the timeout to Loyola. He gets together with his comrades in the officiating side. They're going to say, yeah, was he in the box? Was he not in the box? He was in the box when I heard it. We're going to give the timeout to Loyola.
Maryland with 6 of the last 7 goals on the board, a 9-3 advantage. Logan McNaney is an outstanding stopper for the Terps between the pipes. On occasions, he'll think offensively. And a season ago, right here against Ohio State, he performed every goalie's great dream.
Scored a goal. You want a 10-man ride, Logan McNaney. This is what's going to happen. Goaltender stretching from the abbreviated 2020 season to now.
McNaney to the open cage. He scores! Logan McNaney's done a little bit of everything. Now he's on the score sheet. Mobbed by his mates. A man-down goal, too, I might add.
And, yeah, Ohio State was being aggressive. And you're seeing it more and more in college lacrosse, Joe. The 10-man ride to disrupt the clearing game of an opponent. Maybe if you're struggling, you incorporate a 10-man ride. And goalies like Logan McNaney are instructed to shoot at the cage. So much so that before the game, when you have a meeting with officials, you'll say, hey, Mr. Referee Beninati, we know Maryland is going to 10-man us. When we shoot, it's a shot. It's not a pass. It's a shot. You will advise the referees in that front.
In that instance, if you back it up, it's still your ball.
Absolutely.
If it was ruled to be a pass, you would lose it on a turnover.
Possession. Yep.
9-3 Maryland with a little less than 8 minutes to go in the opening half today with Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. Poitras has a couple of goals for Loyola in the green jerseys. Bringing on around now for second string attackman Dylan Binney, 57. Working against Higgins, who trades him off. That drive is off of Maycar, and it'll deflect way out of play.
Yeah, right now what we're seeing are a couple of things. One, you can tell it's Loyola's first game. Even though they have the couple of scrimmages, this is still game speed. Maryland's got one under their belt. And so far, Maryland, just with their one-on-one matchups and ball movement, have been just a little better executing than the Greyhounds.
Olmstead's been quiet. He'll deliver this one. It comes on back around to Binney. Binney against the short stick D-mid Jake Higgins. Binney wrapped up and shoved down to the turf. Bouncing back up. Shot clock's at 10. That pass is too high. It's a turnover.
Higgins is a problem. Jake Higgins has been a problem for Loyola. Look at that defense, just moving his feet, using his strength. just bodies Binney, gets him to the ground, and then forces the turnover. Jake Higgins, again, injured late last season, missed the postseason run by Maryland, and they're playing shorthanded now today too. Missing a couple of their short stick D middies that hopefully will be back shortly.
Without Alex Smith.
Josh Kaufman.
Yep. On the move, Murphy, who was outstanding in his first game as a Terp last week, scored 4 goals on 4 shots.
Well, you figure Murphy had 4 last week. Maryland already has 9 today, 6.5 left in the first half, and that's the first time we're mentioning Owen Murphy. That is the embarrassment of riches Maryland has on the offensive end.
They are deep. Keegan Khan working against the short stick D of Rizonka. Ball down. LeBlanc keeps it on the carpet, then comes up with the scoop. LeBlanc, who could also have a 6th year of eligibility should he choose next season.
Yeah, the Patriot League, you can accept transfers, but you cannot take graduate transfers. So the situation of a Jonathan Donville coming for a graduate year at Maryland doesn't exist in the Patriot League. But what a school like Loyola does and the other Patriot schools have is they oftentimes have those master's programs, whether it's business or engineering, and you can stick around for extra years.
McNulty moved that one beautifully. James fired it wide. Ryan McNulty, one of the most offensive-minded long stick midfielders you will find as the action continues. Wigley, 6-on-6 at this end. Riley C. looks for Liam Bateman. Puglisi staring daggers. Second midfield on for Loyola. Trailing by 6. Greyhound goals from Lindley and a couple from Poitras as they try to claw their way back in against the Terrapins. Fairman is there defensively against C. Bateman's inverted against Puglisi. Shot clock's at 10. Lindley wants it against Makar. All-conference, All-America matchup there. C fires, he scores! Riley C. The Greyhounds ending a 6-1 run for the Terps. As they celebrate on the sidelines, we revisit hot shooting Maryland today. Wisnauskas always a driving.
With the 13-11 marker.
Maryland and Loyola with Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. As you look at Xfinity Center, that's the home of the Terrapins basketball program. We remind you, later tonight, don't miss Big Ten basketball, the Nittany Lions and the Gophers. Action tipping off tonight, 8:30 Eastern on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Minnesota's dropped its last 5. Penn State's trying to snap out of a 2-game skid, and they haven't beaten the Gophers in Minnesota mark since 2015.
Wow. Big opportunity tonight for the Nittany Lions.
Corey Probus and Jess Settles will have the call for us on the Big Ten Network. Joe and Mark with you for Lacrosse as we finish up the opening half of play today.
Loyola's goal comes at the 4:50 mark of the second.
With a rip from Wisnauskas, ending a 5-minute drought. He has the hat trick.
Wow. Wisnauskas and his shooting stroke. This is a kid who plays wall ball nonstop after practice. And look at that shooting stroke. And look at it nestle into the upper 90. And his teammates on the sideline, Alex Smith amongst them, just like, oh my God, how do you stop that? The development of Logan Wisnauskas has been absolutely incredible. He is the leader of this Terrapin offense.
Logan Wisnauskas, points in all 59 games of his career. He has 7 straight multi-goal games. He has 29 career hat tricks. Now with this one today, putting Maryland into double figures against Loyola. Wierman wins the draw, already has a goal, finds Khan. They move it quickly. Cross crease, a shovel shot from Wisnauskas that goes high.
At the 4:44 mark of the second quarter.
John Tillman says of Wisnauskas, he always wants to get better. He's never satisfied.
No, he isn't. And him and Bernhardt were infamous for carrying around a gallon or 2 jug of water They don't go out a whole lot. They want to be the best. They want to live the mantra of Maryland lacrosse.
Snapshot score! Beautiful cut from Kyle Long, and he converts.
Here's another one, a returning All-American from the University of Maryland. He'll get the 11th marker, and this is the first time we're saying his name on the broadcast. Just a flash cut. Nice seal inside. And again, the communication for the Loyola defense just seems like it's lacking a little bit. And Maryland is just getting too many gimmies right on the doorstep.
The lead grows to its largest on the day, 11-4. Wierman back to the face-off X for Maryland. Opposite of Bailey Savio. Savio, a good bet to set the Patriot League record for ground balls this season. Comes up with a face-off win in another, but then his shovel is sloppy there, trying to get it to Matt Bennis, and it's turned back over to the Terps.
You get a face-off win like that, you just got to scoop through and cruise on forward and try to get the ball to one of your attackmen. Maybe Bennis was like, hey, I'm behind you, but you know he had a white jersey right in his hip pocket. So after that beautiful goal scored by Riley Seay on that one-touch pass from Aidan Olmstead, Maryland has responded very, very quickly.
Little less than 4 minutes away from halftime as Maryland gets its first line of midfielders out there, Donville, DeMaio, and Long. This is Long from the severe angle, finding Maltz. He fires and scores. Daniel Maltz.
Loyola has made a goalie switch. It's Luke Stout now between the pipes. But the same result. Maltz just takes the little feed, moves above goal line extended. Here's a tip for all you young offensive players. Always keep your feet moving. Maltz is able to field that as he's flowing upfield, increases his angle. The quick release beats Stout.
The sophomore Stout from upstate New York enters the game, subbing in for Sam Schaefer. As Wierman gets face-off control, it has been a dominating first half performance for Maryland.
Without question, from top to bottom, we had to score at 3-2 at one point. Loyola was digging its way back into the game. McNaney with that huge save, and then Maryland just went on a run, and they have been unrelenting in the pressure that they're putting on this Loyola defense.
Driving goalie Sam Schaefer for cover, and Coach Toomey said that Schaefer's been having some issues. They were looking at film. They were pleased with the way he played in practice leading in, but trying to slow down high-powered Maryland has been too tough so far today.
And I think coming into 2022, yes, Loyola is an outstanding team. Yes, they almost made it to championship weekend. They were, in essence, one clear away, but this was a team that was also 5-5 and struggling mid-season last year before they were finally able to put it together.
It's a very experienced bunch in green as they settle in defensively. Shot clock down to 23. On the outside, good scoop there. Koras with a quick pickup away from Mustang Sally. Maltz on the hitch. Skip a man for Koras. Sally there to close out with help from Hughes. Shot clock's at 7. The pass for Kahn, one of the rare miscues for Maryland today. They turn it over. Luke Stout, who did not see any action in 2021 season. He had a foot injury. Taken over for Schaefer now in goal for the Greyhounds.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it's been a barrage of shots faced by Schaefer. But one of the hallmarks of Loyola lacrosse is transition. And if your goalie's not making saves, you can't get it out there to get those odd man rushes, something that Ryan McNulty is a catalyst of. So we'll see if Stout can settle this Loyola defense down, get some stops, and help his team try to chip away at this huge Terrapin advantage.
We've mentioned all the transfers that are helping to bolster Maryland's offense this season. This is the first season without Jared Bernhardt, the outstanding attackman. Stay with us at the half. Mark and I will share a look back at his outstanding play. A whistling drive from DeMaio makes it 13.
It's a shooting gallery for the Terps. They're just getting clean looks. with not a lot of pressure, no stick in the gloves, and just great ball rotation. This is just a give back, basically. The retreat by the defense, just giving DeMaio way too much room to shoot. And Maryland right now is feeling it on the field and on the bench.
DeMaio gets his first of the day, getting congratulations on the sideline. He had 7 multi-goal games last year. Just over 90 seconds with which to work in the half. Loyola will make its way to a dressing room and talk things over, try to diagram a way to stop this offensive juggernaut in white.
Well, Loyola was winning some faceoffs early, but this second quarter has just been dominated by Wierman and company, really controlling possession and getting some really sweet looks on Cage.
Terps are #1 in the nation last year in total points per game, scoring margin, and shot percentage. Today's work won't hurt those marks. Give the ball to Loyola for the final minute as Coach Tillman barks his instructions from the sideline.
It looked like that was another moving pick called against the Greyhounds.
Lindley making his way across the top. He has been quiet so far today. Same for Aidan Olmstead, the 2 big guns for Loyola on the attack trio. James on the roll, working against Fairman. Lindley pumped that one wide of McNaney. Shot clock's turned off. Loyola can have the last possession if they want. Quarter alone, roaring out to a 14-5 advantage after 2 quarters. Mark, we're lucky. You and I get to follow the Big Ten around, and the Big Ten has a lot of talented attackmen to watch.
They certainly do. We'll start with Jack Myers for Ohio State. First team All Big Ten a year ago. He'll lead the Buckeye attack. He had 5 goals last week in a win against Detroit Mercy. Josh Sawada, he had a day last weekend in a win over Bellarmine. He leads an attack unit that features Mikey Boehm, one of the better sophomores in the country, and Connor DeSimone. The move from midfield to attack for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays has paid huge dividends, as DeSimone already has 4 goals and 3 assists in 2 games, and takes a lot of pressure off of players like Garrett Degnan and Joey Epstein.
Where are we now? The second week in February, right? February 12, and already Johns Hopkins has a couple of games under its belt, and the season seems like it's starting earlier and earlier and earlier, but lacrosse fans won't complain.
I believe the February 5th face-off last weekend against Jacksonville, where the Blue Jays beat the Dolphins, was the earliest in program history. These kids, though, Joe, it's changed. I mean, they're working year-round. There is no such thing anymore as summer break or winter break. I mean, when you go home after school's over, you're working constantly on your game, on your conditioning, and especially when you go home for the holidays, you're staying away from the pecan pie.
It had been almost 8 years, Mark, almost 8 years since Maryland had scored 10 goals in a single quarter. You got to go back to February of 2014, February 22nd, in a game against Syracuse. Maryland just put 10 on the board against Loyola in the second quarter, driving netminder Sam Schaefer for cover. Luke Stout is between the pipes at this end of the field.
In this early season, and it's early, you know, there are teams like Virginia that have established themselves already. The Cavaliers scored 10 goals in the second quarter last weekend after losing at the end of 3-0 to Air Force. All of a sudden they scored 10. So, you know, Maryland, Virginia, these types of teams, they've just got instant offense.
DeMaio, a little interchange with Donville, that hits the post. Ball down, and on the scoop it comes up for Loyola's Ryan McNulty, the All-American long stick midfielder. Shout out of thanks to all the men and women in our technical crew. College lacrosse on Big Ten Network today. Joe Beninati and Mark Dixon with you. There's a flag down. Extra man soon to come for Loyola. The Greyhounds who need to stack goals together in a hurry.
Yeah, this is an opportunity. You know you're going to get the ball back if you don't score, but if you can score, and I'm not sure what the penalty is, but if it looks like it's going to be offsides, but this is a prime opportunity to get a goal and get some momentum, and if not, you get an extra man opportunity coming up.
Seth Higgins back behind the cage. He's marked there by Long. Long range drive, sizzled wide from Olmstead as Loyola goes a man up.
Different guy. We have 2 fouls in the play. 2 fouls in the play, both against white, both are offsides. John, get back in the box. White 20, offsides, 30 seconds. White number 3, offsides, 30 seconds. 2 men for 30 seconds. 20 offsides.
Coach Tillman with a question for referee Peter Buchanan. He works with Dan Bennett and Brendan Lehane today. Donville takes a seat.
It's something you don't see every day. 2 offsides in one play. Typically, when you have a guy who goes offsides, and offsides in lacrosse, let me just tell you, it's 7 players forward. You could have 2 guys back, and you can hear fans and everybody screaming, they're offsides, they're offsides. No, as long as they don't have 7 players on one side of the field, a team is fine. But oftentimes, if a player goes offsides and then they get back, they'll just say, just go. You're already offsides. And so maybe 2 different players violated that rule.
Maryland, Big Ten champions a season ago, were ranked 4th among the Big Ten lacrosse playing schools, man down a season ago, neutralized just under 63%. Backside look for 𝐂𝐤𝐫𝐦. He'll deliver it up top for Bateman, and around the horn we go. Olmstead, inside feeds a good one. Score! On the run, Evan James.
Huge goal for Loyola, and credit Evan James for having a little bit of a long memory. Similar look in the first quarter where Loyola had a one-on-one and McNaney made the save. Watch James, pump fakes, gets McNaney to go high, makes him commit, and then shoots it where he isn't. Nice little shooting adjustment from number 8 in green.
James, who had a 5-goal game against Utah last year, he was a top shooter in terms of shooting percentage with 45.1 a season ago. Maryland comes up with another draw.
This is where Loyola has to hunker down repeatedly 2 or 3 times there in the second quarter, where Loyola was able to get a marker. Maryland had a very fast answer.
Brennan on the go against Mustang Sally. To the alley there and kick it back behind for Malever. Malever loosening himself from Hughes. Good catch by Murphy. Very comfortable behind the cage, now playing midfield for Maryland. He was an attackman at Hopkins. Brennan, no shooting room. Sally takes him below goal line, extended. Koras on the bouncer, that's wide of Luke Stout. Stout coming on for the starter, Sam Schaefer. Grad school player. There are 10 graduate players on Loyola this season. 𝐂𝐤𝐿 hesitates. Working in against 𝐿𝐼𝐞𝐄. Loops it over the top. Wisnauskas fires, and Stout makes the save.
Good save by Stout. And talking to Charlie Toomey earlier this week, he said we need at least 12, 13 saves, because if you remember the run they made last year in the late in the Patriot League and the Patriot League tournament and the NCAA tournament, Sam Schaefer was coming up with 15, 16, 17 saves. So this is a Loyola defense that will give up shots, and they rely heavily on their goaltender. They just haven't gotten that save total here today.
That enormous save that Schaefer made in the final seconds at Denver. Memorable moment that propelled the Greyhounds further into the tournament action, and they almost took down Duke. Poitras fires. McNaney makes the kick stop. Poitras, who had a couple of goals in the opening half. Ajax Zapatello looks to clear. It's a Maryland team. We've mentioned they moved on from Jared Bernhardt. They're also without Nick Grill, another, in terms of John Tillman's words, alpha males on the defensive end. Bad clear here, swiped by James. 𝐂𝐤𝐫𝐻 running away from Puglisi now.
Yeah, Nick Grill was the lockdown defender a season ago for the Maryland Terrapins. I mean, to have Grill and Makar, they both could have been first-team All-American. I believe Grill got second team, Makar got first, or vice versa. But this defense, wow. Ajax Zapatello just steps in, and Matt Rahill seems like he's been here since the Bush administration.
Poitras snapped it wide there. The backup belongs to Kevin Lindley, another of those grad students for Loyola. Lindley isolating against Rahill. Waits, works around a Poitras screen. Lindley, who had 60 goals in 2019, set a Loyola record in that regard. Chased down at the midline by Olmstead.
And Loyola, as we see, they're still trying to find the pieces where they fit.
Lindley's pass. Olmstead fires. That's from long range. It went wide of McNaney. The officials resetting the shot clock.
Yeah, it looked like McNaney got a little piece of it, if not the Pike did. But, Olmstead running from the midfield. James is a hybrid. He can run midfield and attack. You're seeing it more and more in college lacrosse. Positionless offense. Just give me 6 guys to put out on the field that can make something happen, that can make a play. And, really the lines between midfield and attack have been incredibly blurred and continue to be.
Jake Higgins looking after Poitras. His brother Seth has the ball now, going to the goal, 24 in the green. Seth Higgins has 𝐿'𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵 hung up. Inside roll, deflected away by McNaney. There's a whistle. There's a flag down on the play.
Late flag. I think we're going to get a push against Maryland, or it could be on Higgins as he went into the goal mouth. Let's see what the call is.
White, number 8, push 30 seconds. White 8, push 30 seconds.
So it's a push against Maryland. John Tillman doesn't like the call. I mentioned the goal mouth, Joe, because if you land in the goal mouth and the referee's determined that you took a bad path to goal, meaning you didn't adjust your body to stay out of the path of the goal mouth or the goaltender, you could be flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Evan James just converted on extra man for Loyola. They have the only tally in the second half. Nearing the midway mark of this third quarter. Evan James will swing it. That pass is deflected. Zappatello had his stick up. Bateman will work it for Olmstead. Greyhounds in green out of the Patriot League, 10-6 a season ago. Loyola next up, they'll be at Homewood Field to battle with another Big Ten squad in the Blue Jays of Johns Hopkins. Maycar comes up with a ground ball and gets away from the advances of Olmstead. Fine work by the long stick close defender.
I mean, you talk about the ability to defend, the ability to play in a team defense, to pick up a ground ball and handle pressure.
Malever knifing in, he scores. Eric Malever gets his second of the day.
Far post. Great shot by Malever. Credit Maycar on the defensive end.
Malever, outstanding high school lacrosse player in the state of Georgia, has made it a 15-6 lead for the Terps. Right back to work at the offensive end. Once again, we saw Pacheco take the draw for Loyola. Charlie Toomey said he wanted to make it more of a 70-30 split between Savio and Pacheco, try to save Bailey some wear and tear. Malever with a little flick to the crease, intended for Fairman. It's down. Wires will goose it. Stout has it in his goalie crease.
Yes.
Looking to run in transition now are the Greyhounds with Matt Hughes.
Yeah, Savio's been so much of a warrior over the years, Joe. I mean, the guy's taking 450 face-offs a year. It's great to have that depth with Pacheco. They've got 𝐻𝐿 that can pop on if need be. And Savio, what a career he's had. A lot riding on his shoulders in this 2022 campaign.
Bailey following in the footsteps of his brother Graham, who is a face-off specialist as well for Loyola. On the downhill run, first call of the day from Matt Houston, wearing 11 in the green. James has carried it a lot against Zappatello. This is Riley Seay, who had a tally in the second quarter. Rolls to the alley, forced away by Bubba Fairman. You talk about the embarrassment of riches for Maryland. Fairman was a first-line midfielder a season ago. Now he's a defensive midfielder.
I mean, the guy's been an offensive player his whole career here at the University of Maryland, but there's a need to go on the defensive side. And there you go. John Tillman says, Bubba's like, wherever you need me, coach, I'll do it.
And when we were watching the High Point game against Maryland last week, Fairman was a one-man clear.
Yeah.
He did so well clearing the ball individually. That's just another way in which he can impact the game.
Substitution game now.
𝐿'𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵 has a man hung up, fires, and it is off target as we've crossed the midway mark of the second quarter now. Malever on the restart. Wisnauskas already with a half a dozen points today. The same Logan Wisnauskas, who has 6 career 8-point games. DeMaio forced to the outside by Razonka. Long against Middleton. Middleton keeping him at stick's length. Kahn lowers his shoulder. Tries that little question mark dodge. Here comes the double. Hughes timed it pretty well. Long is in trouble. Shot clock down to 18.
Yeah, perfect double right there. That was a sweet, slithery move by Kahn, but good defense by Loyola.
Donville, nice pass on the give and go. Stout made the kick save on DeMaio. And his teammates come up with a ground ball. Possession for Mustang Sally and the Greyhounds. On for Middleton, just off of his cross. A turnover. Maycar jogs it ahead. All-America close defender. Brett Maycar just hanging out. As Maryland has opened up a 15-6 lead. Maycar all fired up. It has been an offensive show for Maryland. So many different pieces in the puzzle, including Eric Malever. Precision on display on Big Ten Network. Loyola against Maryland with the Terrapins on top 15-6, and it's all in the family for Rudy Higgins right there, center screen, with a double hat going. Proud papa to Seth and Jake.
Yeah, I mean, it's never easy to have boys competing against one another, but there you see it. Jake, number 57, Seth, number 24. Tremendous T-shirt made up by the Higgins family, a house divided. Another nice part of this, Joe, is, Rudy is undergoing some cancer treatments right now, and he put down a little bit of a challenge between the Maryland and Loyola Lacrosse faithful in a fundraiser for St. Jude's Hospital to raise money for cancer research for children. So both lacrosse communities stepping up this week, making contributions, and the Higgins family, I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know what I would do if my sons ever played against each other.
We'll get to your son in a few moments. That's still to come on Big Ten Network today. But the Higgins boys, sons of Rudy and Aaron. And it's Dad Rudy who calls Jake the rock of the family. Wisnauskas playing a little two-man game. They work it, change the point of attack for Murphy. His pass picked in expert fashion by McNulty, one of the best players to watch at long stick midfield in the nation. This Loyola University Maryland Greyhound bunch out of the Patriot League. They're a preseason favorite in the Patriot League for the 9th straight season, the gang in green. On the go, Davis Lindsay. Second line of attackers for Charlie Toomey. Coach Toomey, wonderful success in his many, many years in Baltimore. 2 times an All-American goalie, was the head coach of the Greyhounds during his days. Class of 1990. He would have been coached by Dave Cottle, correct?
He was. Yeah. He was. That 1990 team, too, went to the national championship game, just ran into a juggernaut in Syracuse, led by a couple of good lacrosse players, the Gate brothers.
Shot clock down to 20 for Loyola. Good work on the defense from Bubba Fairman. Digging in against Olmstead. Flash cut from James, and that pass goes awry. And the Terrapin lacrosse fans recognize the good defense in front of Logan McNaney. Terrapin keeper sails this one ahead on a rope for Fairman. Puglisi is next.
As many platitudes as we've given this Maryland offense, how about this Maryland D? I mean, it's a group. You mentioned you graduate Nick Grill. You need to replace him, but I mean, you've got Rayhill, Makar. Zapatello steps in and fills that Grill role. Maybe doesn't fill the Grill role, but fits into a defense seamlessly, and this is a very stingy unit.
And we've seen Owen Prabilski, another transfer, a guy who came in from Villanova. We've seen him on the wing today. He'll sub in close D and man down. Malever has had a fine afternoon again. He's got a couple of tallies picked up by Matt Hughes. DeMaio, spectacular shots from Anthony DeMaio, just showing off.
Incredible shot. Look at DeMaio soak the checks. Look at him hide the stick. He knows he's going to shoot once he gets out the front door. So he's on the move again, feet always moving, soaks the checks, gets upfield, gets stick leverage, hides the stick, and whistles one over the right shoulder of the Loyola goaltender.
Maryland, Big Ten regular season and tournament champions a year ago. DeMaio was a part of the Big Ten all-tournament team last year. Another vital cog in this offensive machine for the Terrapins. McNulty comes up with the ground ball. Solid play as usual off the wing from him.
Two things I've noticed about this Maryland offense. One, they're always moving. If you don't have the ball on your stick, you're moving your feet. You're getting open. The second thing, when they shoot the heck out of the ball. They shoot like they're trying to put it through a piece of steel. No matter if they're on the crease, if they're at 15, if they're at 10, they shoot to rip net.
16-6 for Maryland. Less than 2 minutes to go in quarter number 3. Seay is on the move against Puglisi. Terps opening up their largest lead on the day at the moment. In cruise control. Zappatello peeks out on Bateman. Liam Bateman, the senior from Towson, Maryland. About 45 minutes or so away from here in College Park. Evan James's shot awkwardly goes wild. 16-6 for the Terps. Their offense humming right along. Seay from the top. That's routine for McNaney. He comes up, pitch and catch for Geppert on the looking for the fast break. Maryland's offense from week to week going to be a threat this season.
Look at their shooting percentage today. 31 shots, 16 goals. I'm not a math major, but that is over 50%. You're shooting over 50% as a team. That is some impressive gunslinging.
John Tillman was talking about it, about offensive coordinator Bobby Benson having a lot of weapons to work with, and he would expect Benson from week to week to put in more and more wrinkles. Last year it was a feeling out process. This year you'd imagine Bobby's got a little bit more flexibility.
You can't come in and reinvent the wheel, 30 days before your season opener. That's the first thing. Second thing is he got to know the guys. I mean, if I don't know you, if this is the first time we're working together, I can't be like, hey, Joe, you do that well, but I think you need to take a sample size. You need to let kids show you what they can do. And now that he's got the familiarity level, he can put some things in that he thinks can make them better players.
Maryland spinning the ball again. Wires with the block there on Wisnauskas. The ricochet off the Greyhound defender out of bounds as time ticks down late in the third.
We talk about game action. Coaching is that way as well. Watching people on tape is much different than watching them live.
Koras trying to beat the buzzer. He shot that one wide. Last-ditch effort now for Keegan Khan. Filters one to the crease. Whistling drive from Murphy. Does it count? Owen Murphy with a rocket. The officials are going to confer. The celebration begins. Quarter number 3 ends in style.
They changed the rules a couple years ago. It's like basketball. As long as this ball's out of the stick by the time that clock hits 0, it is. And Owen Murphy has himself a buzzer beater.
Dead eye, giving Maryland an 11-goal cushion. Done with 3 quarters of regulation with Lacrosse on the Big Ten Network. Maryland all over Loyola. And just for giggles, it's Tony time again. Anthony DeMaio. Maryland up top big on Loyola, 17-6 before we start the fourth. There are 9 freshmen on the Greyhounds roster, Mark, including someone vaguely familiar, number 26.
He's been eating my food and living under my roof for the last 18 and a half years. That's Matt Dixon, my son.
Very, very happy for you and Erica and the family. Look forward to seeing how Matt's college career progresses.
Both of us. Can't tell you how proud we are of him and You know, it's to all those lacrosse dads out there, you know, enjoy the ride. Enjoy it. It goes really, really fast. The biggest thing I'll tell you is just make sure your son or your daughter is having fun.
Maryland is having a whole lot of offensive fun today. They've been pretty buttoned up at the defensive end as well, keeping Loyola to just 6 as we tiptoe into the 4th. Maryland's second game of the season. They blasted High Point last week. It's a season opener for the Greyhounds. Joe Beninati with Matt Dixon. Once again, a tip of the cap to all the men and women in our technical crew. Appreciate all their efforts. An early day here in College Park. Donville turns it. Long fires and crossing over to make the stop there. Luke Stout, who came on in relief of Sam Schaefer. As Wisnauskas goes tumbling down to the deck. This will be Loyola ball.
And if you're Loyola, obviously you're still playing to win the game. But down 11 goals with 13-plus minutes left to go in the game. Let's just chip away. Let's just get better in this 4th quarter. Let's just make plays and not back down. If you're the Maryland Terrapins, you're looking to maintain your discipline, minimize mistakes, and don't let Loyola feel like they can get back in this contest.
Loyola out of the Patriot League. They start their season in 2022 with 3 straight games against Big Ten foes. They'll be working at Homewood Field in Baltimore. Storied home base for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays next week. Maryland will be on the road for the first time this season. They'll be at Syracuse on Sunday the 20th. Seth Higgins' pass looped over top of the goal. Poitras, who has 2 today. 30 seconds left in the shot clock. Olmstead off the split dodge with Poitras, picked up by Fairman. Olmstead wants it again. Puglisi's been attached to him. Makar keeping tabs on 𝐂𝐚𝐬𝐿. First line midfielder for Charlie Toomey's bunch. Olmstead with 6 seconds to shoot. Goes behind the back on the pass. There's a flag down.
Puglisi, he's been here for a long time. He's one of my favorite short stick D middies. They're just going to get him for a hold right there. Everything was good with it except he got around the head and neck area. A little bit of a sleeper hold on the Loyola player. Maryland just aggressive. I mean, they're aggressive everywhere on the field. I mean, you remember when we called Maryland a couple years ago? It would be, I don't want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? A little frustrating. You know, they had so much, but they would play so conservatively. And now it's just with the weapons that they have, the philosophy that they incorporate, man, they are just full court all over the place.
Beautiful read, anticipation on the steal there by Logan McNaney. Ripping off the extra man unit for Loyola. 17-6 for the Terps. Early stages of the 2022 season. These 4 guys getting themselves on the board. First of very many for them this year.
DeMaio is a holdover and a player who's been producing for years. Jack Brennan burst onto the scene in 2020, was really having a great season till it was cut short by the pandemic. Then he was injured all of last year and didn't get to play. So
Murphy's hot hand continues. He was 4 for 4 last week. He's 2 for his last 2 today.
Just the hits just keep coming. Whether it's Brennan, DeMaio, Long, in this case, Owen Murphy. You want to talk about 2020. By the end of the 2020 season, which was abbreviated at Johns Hopkins, Bobby Benson said Owen Murphy, he was then the offensive coordinator for Johns Hopkins, said he was the best attackman that we had. And Benson, when he took the job at Maryland, Owen Murphy left Hopkins, and now they're reunited in College Park, and these two can do some special things together.
Savio looking for the face-off win. He's double-teamed there. Geppert and Gavin Ty. Gavin Ty giving Luke Weirman a breather at the face-off X for Maryland. The Terps are in control with 11 and change to go in the 4th.
A great ground ball pickup by Diego Roman, a freshman long pole for Loyola. How about this, the aggressiveness on the face-off? I mean, Savio wins it. He's just got 2 white jerseys beating the heck out of him. This Maryland team is a force to be reckoned with, not only in the Big Ten, but on the national schedule as well.
Wigley. Double team comes from Makar. Ball belongs to McNaney, and the Maryland keeper comes flying out of the cage. McNaney will accelerate with Roman Puglisi. No numbers advantage for the Terps, so they'll settle in 6-on-6 and get subs on. Daniel Maltz, 37 in the white. Brother Dylan was an attackman on the national champion Terrapin team of 2017. Long picked up on the perimeter.
And Maltz was a starter last year, Joe. And now he's coming off the bench. He's getting run on extra man offense.
Boom. Donville takes a stroll for goal number 19.
We've seen Donville do it many different ways today. We've seen him inside, catch and shoot, and we've seen him cruising to the goal like this. Just a straight righty sprint down the hash marks. Slide is late. Finds himself an angle and beats Loyola goaltender.
Former captain at Cornell. His tally up to 5 now in 2 games since joining the Terps. Loyola has made another goalie change. Subbing in now Freeman Whitaker, the senior from Ohio. Charlie Toomey says he's the most athletic of the Greyhound keepers. The Terps in the middle of a 5-goal run. Murphy sprints into the alley, throws it on back. Brennan wants it. Jack would have started 6 games his freshman year a couple years back, and as Dixie just told you, missed all of last year with the injury. Number 41 takes it in off the end line. Number 55 has been spying passing lanes and looking to crank it up. Brennan on the roll. Stopped by Whitaker. Ball down and claimed by Wires. Wires, who's been dealing with an injury. You can see his leg is heavily bandaged and wrapped. The best of the bunch at close D for Loyola.
And he's played the entire game thus far. He's been in there. Nice save by Whitaker, showing off his athleticism and his quickness.
Seth Higgins wants the ball. On the exchange there with Evan James. Poitras picked up on the outside by Koras. We've played 6 minutes in the 4th. Temperatures hovering around the 50s today. Pleasant day for an early season game in College Park, Maryland. Just about 15-20 minutes away from our nation's capital in Washington. Makar with a scoop. Makar and Koras set sail. This Maryland team marked 8 preseason All-Americans on the roster.
And they're showing us here today why. I mean, this is a Loyola team that will challenge for a Patriot League championship. Last week, High Point. That's a team that is the reigning SoCon champions. Both NCAA tournament teams. And Maryland is just not breezing by them, but blowing by them. I mean, with just everything that they've got in their bag of tricks.
Jordy Holmes is 34 in the white. Third line of midfielders now for John Tillman. Maltz back behind the cage, trying to get away from Rizanka. The feed behind the back, snapped over and wide by Malever. Getting a little fancy, looking for goal number 20.
Yeah, now as we look at this Maryland team, we've seen them up close and personal twice now. Who can dethrone them in the Big Ten? Is it Rutgers? Is it the Scarlet Knights with Colin Kurz between the pipes and Jared Jean Felix on defense? Bartolo. I'll get it right one of these days, Joe. On the attack, Ryan Gallagher is back for Rutgers. Is it Johns Hopkins? Can the Blue Jays continue their momentum from 2021 with DeSimone and Brendan Grimes? And, you know, that's the big question right now as you look at this Loyola team. Who can touch them in the Big Ten?
Shot clock violation against Maryland, gives the ball to Loyola. Rizanka will run with it. Short stick D mid for 𝐿inGulicut. Keep it hot there for Lindley. Long range drive. A stop made. New keeper on for Maryland. Drew Morris is in the goal. He had the answer there for a long drive from McNulty.
And we're going to get an in and out of the crease. Looks like Morris made the save, corralled it, stepped back into the crease. So a turnover back to Loyola. But McNaney's day is done. And he played well again. I mean, we were talking about the aggressiveness on that last man down opportunity. He's coming out of the cage, stealing a pass from behind the goal.
I thought McNaney was very sharp early on, first 5 minutes of the game. After that, Maryland turned up the offensive intensity and has run away from Loyola. 19-6 with 6:45 to go in the fourth.
Well, we're always looking for those moments, right, in a game. And 3-2, Loyola chipping their way, getting back in the game. They had a one-on-one. McNaney makes a save. Maryland goes down the other end, scores, and it was 4-2. And then the floodgates kind of opened on Loyola in terms of the Maryland offense.
A feed inside. Morris made the save there on James. Shot clock gets reset. Binney will move it. And then back behind the cage once more for Lindley against Puglisi. No shooting angle there. Just a reminder, wrestling coming up once we're through from College Park. The Terps and Rutgers will be in action. Skip pass off the outside of the post. James rings the iron. Another fresh 60 for Loyola. 5 minutes and 53 seconds to go. We'll get you back to Maryland Stadium in just a few moments. Bring this one to a conclusion. Maryland has been dead-eye accurate all day long and making no mistakes now in the fourth. Fans coming up next. Big Ten Wrestling presented by Cliff Keen Athletic. The Terps stepping onto the mat for a clash with number 16 ranked Rutgers. It's coming up next on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. New Jersey native for Maryland, Kyle Cochran, really good at 184 pounds. He'll be in action today. Sebastian Rivera for Rutgers. Mark, he is 20-0.
Wow.
That'll get you the number 3 ranking in the nation.
I would say.
At 141. Interior Poitras trying to bank that one past Morris, who's come on for the starter, McNaney. No sail, and the ball belongs to Maryland.
And Maryland now emptying their bench a little bit, recognizing the game is in hand, get some of their younger guys some game experience.
This Maryland bunch, Mark, has scored a dozen or more goals now in 26 straight games.
It used to be with Maryland, if they could get to 10, they would win. You know, now 10 is what they score typically at halftime.
They had 14 today. They had 10 in the second quarter alone for the first time in 8 years doing that in one 15-minute span. Jordy Holmes inverted against Venice. Holmes fires. That's off the outside of the goal. Now guarded by Loyola's Freeman Whitaker. Ryan Siracusa. Trail check. That was something the Maryland coaches were looking at on film in the past. Loyola, a reputation for being really good with the trail checks defensively.
Yeah, and today they really haven't had an opportunity. Maryland has just played at a faster clip. They've played more game speed. And again, you know, the second game for Maryland, first real game for Loyola, and you could tell the advantage that the Terrapins exploited.
Maryland has made this a game of runs all throughout. As Kevin Lindley jogs with the ball. Colin Burles is on. 40 in the white with a long stick. He'll pick up on Lindley.
Terrapin fans will recognize that 4-0. His dad, Brian Bubba Burles, Defender of the Year, the Schmeiser Award winner back in 1992 for the Terps.
Liam Bateman on the inside. Morris and the defense stand tall. And away comes Justin Schur. He lost it out of his cross. You see them battling near the midfield line. Who's going to come up with the scoop? Houston did for a moment. And if this is a loose ball push against Maryland, giving Loyola the ball. 3.5 to go in this one. Maryland will improve to 22-2 all time against Loyola. First time these two teams have met since 2015. The first ever meeting was in Baltimore in 1940.
Long time ago. And this is a Maryland team that will go to Syracuse next weekend and take on a now Gary Gate-led Orange program. And the defensive coordinator, though, they're very, very familiar with, is Dave Petramala.
Oh, yeah. Dylan Binney working in now against Burles. Time ticking under 3 minutes left. This gets through Scher. Seay fires, he scores. Riley Seay able to take a peek at that top corner.
Greyhounds continue to play hard. Riley Seay picks up the ground ball. Nice look from Davis Lindsay. Got through some traffic. 3 white jerseys coming at him. Is able to nestle it under the crossbar. Second goal of the day today for Seay.
19-7 now with 2:51 to play. Looking into the eyes of Davis Lindsay, who didn't play a season ago, took a medical hardship waiver year with a foot injury. Rizanka comes up with a ground ball for Loyola. For the Greyhounds, it had been a drought of better than 25 minutes there.
It's a Loyola team. They'll pick themselves up. Again, they continue their swing through the Big Ten next week, visiting Johns Hopkins. Then they'll host Rutgers.
The toughest non-conference schedule in the nation for the guys in the green jerseys today.
And that's saying a lot, you know, when you consider the schedule that Maryland plays, the schedule. How about Johns Hopkins? They beat Towson last night. They go to Georgetown tomorrow. 48-hour turnaround.
Right back at you. Dylan Binney with a well-placed drive right there.
Now you got some Loyola guys getting an opportunity to show what they can do. There's Higgins. We talked about his feeding ability, but Binney's just going to cycle up again, feet moving. And the Maryland starting defense really didn't allow that type of ball movement, but now Loyola's finding the groove.
Binney hails from Texas. We're seeing more and more top-flight lacrosse players come from that state. Gavin Ty gets the draw for Maryland with 2 minutes to go in this one.
Yeah, Texas, Arizona,
Oregon,
Michigan. I mean, you name it. You know, we're on the summer circuit this summer with my younger son Owen of 2023, and those juniors now having the opportunity to commit to colleges. And you look at all these schools, and they're from everywhere in the country, Joe. The game has just grown like wildfire.
Malever, who had a solid day today from Georgia. Malever right on cue. He scores. They've had a whole lot to cheer about today. Malever had over 500 points during his high school activities in Georgia. Down to the final 90 seconds of this one. We're making our way to Big Ten wrestling soon enough. Maryland will improve to 2-0. Loyola gets Johns Hopkins in its week 2 next weekend, as the Terps have possession. Maryland coach John Tillman was talking about the explosive attack for Loyola. Said that those guys, Olmstead, Lindley, James, they needed to be covered this week, not just surrounded. Those big names for Loyola haven't made a big noise today.
You look at that second quarter where the game really kind of got out of hand for Loyola, and they just didn't have the ball. And when they did, that Maryland defense blanketed them. You know, Makar is the leader of that defensive group. He's a little banged up in the preseason. I don't think he played against Boston University, their first scrimmage. He's rounded into form, getting healthy. Ajax Zapatello, Ray Hill. Maryland always has that alpha on defense. But then you also have those guys who are just in the background. You know, they're the system guy or the discipline guy, and Maryland has that makeup once again in 2022.
Fans rising to salute the Terps. Dawson Wynn getting some time. Kevin Tucker seeing some time. He has the ball now. Rizanka's with him. The shot clock violation, and that should do it. Maryland, a 20-8 victor. As it is now official, John Tillman's squad hitting 20-plus goals again on consecutive weekends. This offense has been too tough to contain.
2-0, an impressive debut for this Maryland Terrapins. Great to have lacrosse back on the Big Ten Network, and Maryland looks every bit the part of a Big Ten champion contender and potentially a national title contender.